In traditional shoemaking, the processes are generally all quite similar, but the methods, techniques, and recipes vary from country to country, culture to culture, and are largely based on information handed down through generations. This is the method that works for me. I begin by soaking 2 pieces of shoulder leather in water. In the meantime, I create the pattern for the bottom of the last. This will be useful from now on every time I use this last, so it's a good idea to create it as soon as I receive them and ensure they're as accurate as possible. For this, I've found that the method of lightly sanding the edges yields most accurate results. Of course, it's not the quickest method, but I do enjoy the process of peeling the tape away gently. I have found that when I've used a knife to cut the excess, it's quite easy to shift by a couple of millimeters, which I'm trying to avoid. By lightly sanding right on the feather edge, the tape disintegrates without much effort, leaving behind a perfectly accurate bottom pattern. For the arch, it is very much a matter of design and personal judgment. I base my arch curves on both the foot and my antique shoes. Once the leather has soaked and dried for a bit, allowing me to work with damp but not extremely wet leather, I can begin to shape it. In some instances, I like to case the leather, a process in which the soaked leather is wrapped in paper and allowed to mellow overnight. This isn't always possible with time restraints, and frankly, I haven't noticed much of a difference. Leather workers might disagree with me on that, but that's just my experience. To begin with shaping, I always use 3 nails to secure the leather to the last. 1 in the center, 1 at the toe, and 1 at the heel. It's a good idea to know how many nails you're going to use every time, because the last thing you want is to forget a nail and proceed to finish the shoes and never be able to remove the shoe from the last ever again. This time I'm demonstrating the method of wrapping the leather in bicycle inner tube. It's a perfectly good method in my opinion, but do note that the leather takes longer to dry. Generally leave it to shape overnight and take the binding off the next day, and allow it to dry fully before cutting. In this case, I added a few more nails to the front of the last to avoid having the leather shift around when cutting that pointy toe. This isn't always necessary, and yes, once I cut, I do remove them, leaving once again only the 3 original nails. When trimming the insoles, one must practice caution. Aside from the very obvious reason that it's a knife, I also want to make sure to work slowly and create the most accurate shape possible. Sharp knives are a good idea because less force is exerted, and therefore you're less likely to cut yourself. Beveling the edges is also a good idea, both for aesthetic and practical reasons. Of course it'll look nicer, but we also want to avoid having that little lip that forms when we cut the leather, as it can eventually bother the wearer. But mostly because it looks nicer. I'm kidding. Next, and totally optional, is the sanding of the edges and glassing. Yes, as in a piece of broken glass is used to shave off the top layer. It's a neat little thing we do. I'll have to show you how to cut the glass another time. Add a touch of water, burnish the edges, and now don't forget to do the other one. Till next time.